Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for the week of July 14th. Going into July 14th. Of course, we break this video down into two parts. The first part, we'll discussing the overall market conditions, looking at some past trades, giving out some freebies, and basically, doing a little review. And then the second part, we got some good stock setups for you this week. I actually have a tremendous list in front of me. And I've been working since about 8:30 this morning, just going through this, breaking this list down, trying to get down to that number one best bet of the week, which represents the beard trade. You know, I'm psyched about the beard trade. I think a lot of people might think it's a little goofy, but it keeps, it makes a little fun trading experience in the summertime months right now. And basically, the beard trade is the best bet of the week. And if that bet continues to play out, I continue to keep the beard. And the beard is getting big. So I'm looking forward to having this thing, getting down there. I actually saw someone walking by with a beard the other day and kind of inspired me. I said, that is a beard. My beard is nothing compared to that guy's full beard. It was really nice. I said, wow. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. I'm jumping into this video because I'm not even done with all my research, but I'm scanning through hundreds and hundreds of stocks today. I've probably gone through close to 1,000 stocks. And during the week, great week, absolutely great week. We've been concentrating on more of this market drop, and you know that my bias has kind of been negative over the last 2 days. We had a couple signals that are saying, well, look, watch out for a drop. And we got that drop and we got that bounce, and then I said, watch out for that next drop, and we actually dropped out again, and then we rallied strong last night. And today, again, I was off the mic, but we continue to push up a little higher. And it seems to be, that's okay. We're at a point now we're going to talk about in the markets that looks very interesting, both sides of the coin. I mean, you have great short setups, you have great long setups. I'm not going to waste your time with anything else. I want to get right down to it. During my research, I was looking, I came across Facebook. And Facebook was such a great example of what happens when you see a wedge pattern. This is a small little rising wedge pattern. We've been concentrating on wedge patterns a lot in the last 2 weeks. They've been showing up. We've had a great opportunities today. In fact, we have a nice wedge pattern on Budweiser that was breaking down. And I've been following this wedge pattern. There's a wedge pattern back here. We're actually looking for this type of thing. We got $2 off of that trade. So I actually took it off because of that 5-minute setup on Budweiser. I already had $2. And right about here, I noticed a coiled up stochastic setup here. So we sent out the alert and actually got out. We started running. It did pull back a little bit further, but you can see it's actually starting to put a base in here. I still think there's downside here, but wanted to lock in a good profit and make sure people, understood that. I thought, a good trade was made right there, and we definitely looks like we're going to break down here. But, when we talk about a wedge pattern, a rising wedge or a falling wedge, there's a couple things I want to talk about, and that's why I wanted, to mention that Facebook. It came across Facebook, and it's a great example of how wedges work. First of all, identifying that closing of that trend, that channel, but it's not really a channel. The two trend lines kind of converge. The wedge pattern has a kind of a unique look to it. It can't be too steep. It can't be too shallow. It has to be just right. And you want to have some things playing out with it. The oversold stochastics as you get to the top part of the pattern, the breakdown. And when you see this breakdown here, you usually get that retraction, or what we call a retracement, back up. So this is what I wanted to show you. You have a little downward wedge pattern here, breakout, and then a kind of a pullback and a bounce. But whenever you see a wedge pattern break down, it's important to take profits quickly, because what happens is you get a reactionary bounce back up. And usually it pushes right back up to that trend line before rolling over again, and you start to make this new channel. And just seeing that setup here kind of just reminded me to kind of mention that as a key, reason. I don't really like taking wedge patterns as they're breaking down, because I know they have this snapback in them, and by the time you're already starting to break down from them, you're already getting oversold levels. People don't realize the momentum is already, from this point down to this point, is really getting extended. So sometimes we actually get those bounces even before that, and then we roll over. So a good example of that, retracement bounce here. I'm not interested too much in Facebook, but I wanted to show you that is something to pay attention to on wedge patterns like this. I want to show you some other examples of that in this video. A good example right now is on the workday. It was a good HPS setup. We have it on the watch list as an HPS setup, a workday. And this is a classic wedge pattern. The wedge pattern, a rising wedge pattern, is actually that pullback. It's a bearish pullback play. You'd like to have this better in a down, in a market that's dropping off, and you get that wedge pullback. It really works better than, a market that kind of tops out in this wedge pattern, because that could squeeze a little bit higher, and that could actually be a false wedge. But the type of pattern you look for, especially, is this breakdown, the wedge that comes back into, just a kind of retracement wedge, and then that rollover and a follow through to the downside. So workday was a great setup for the last couple weeks on the HPS watch list. I want to show you that. All right, you can see that I posted this, and as a short setup. And again, the short zone $91 to $88 level, anywhere in this zone, because we're looking for that target to get down here. And again, this was the HPS setup for the last 2 weeks, and actually this week. And you can see it just came right down out of this pattern. And looking at this right now, I would expect, if we take a look back here at desk chart, we're starting to get oversold. It's so important to understand the momentum in trades. There's no one direction in trades. It's an opportunistic market where when you get a pullback and you expect that bounce back up in a retracement, you could actually trade these both ways, understanding how patterns play out, what a wedge pattern is, and how to measure a measured move on this. You can start to realize different targets and different areas to pay attention to. So you see this is oversold. I consider the short on this is pretty much, I think the risk reward, the high probability of this trade is definitely done, as we're oversold now. So we could get a bounce, we maybe not, that's not the trade I like. The wedge pattern downside trade here, I would actually expect this maybe to drop down a little bit further. So, but that trade is over. So getting back to this wedge pattern in the in Facebook, in this rise and wedge, the breakdown, you're seeing that retracement. Okay chance. I mean, we got the crossover and stuff. It's not a trade, but I also want to now try to segue into the SPX, because the SPX is in this kind of a rising wedge pattern. And we've been focused on this, and we've actually, for this week, I've actually been quite bearish in the market. I've taken on most shorts I've taken in years. And we've been, they've been doing pretty good. And some of them haven't. Some of them got squeezed out, and I had to, take the loss. But I think we're in some really good shorts right now, and we're going to discuss those on the watch list. This market has been, a tough one to call a top, and I'm not about to call a top yet. I'm just about, I understand we're seeing this kind of little wedge pattern, a coiled wedge pattern on here. We did have this little breakdown, but what happens is that 60-minute time frame has been so key that we got oversold here. We bounced. We looked for that failure. Tell you the truth, I put out the video. I said look for that spike down. But what happened? We spiked right down to this important trend line. It actually was a 1, 3, 2, 3 pattern based off of these pivot areas. If you listen to the show, you can see we outlined this as it was happening. So we knew exactly that this was the ultimate level, and it was very important to watch this. We could definitely get a bounce, and we got that bounce. And it continues to bounce, and we're still inside this pattern. So, technically, looking back at the history of this market, this is a type of pattern that has played out consistently to the upside. Here's a flag, it broke out to the upside. Here's a flag back here. It opened up the mini flags here. Nice, beautiful, organized flag. Plenty of room on this. It almost looks like it wants to move up a little higher before maybe possibly rolling over. So, it is, I think, a very interesting area to look for this short, but I'm almost to the point where I'm feeling that there's too many people out here looking at this market to go down at this point. If it's going to happen, it's going to be a surprise. We did have that one day where we got the futures down like 17 points and stuff. It was a pretty good little smackdown. But the next day we bounced back and we chopped around, and tell you the truth, everything that's happening, the market's holding up really well. We're on the trend line. We're on the 50-period moving average. We have that flag. We're not oversold on the daily. We're not overbought on the daily. I mean, really, we could go either way. I think it's a good time to show a little caution in this market and kind of be evenly balanced. There is some potential shorts out there. I think they're kind of good short setups, and there's also some really great long setups. So we're going to concentrate on both of those this week. I wish I could just tell you, hey, this is going to fail and this is going to roll over. The 60-minute time frame has been key, and I don't want to fight that too much. It's been, this market, today a lot of the Fed speakers coming out saying that they don't see a Fed hike until the second half of 2015. A lot of people talking about the markets continuing to grind up until we see a policy change. And I was kind of on the boat, on board with that, a couple months ago. The only thing I'm looking at here is just some of these little momentum indicators that I pay attention to. Maybe a slight divergence here, but you know what? That 60-minute time frame and the strength in the market and the different market that we have today than we have in 2007, 2008. These are different markets, so. Bullish markets are hard to call top on. Wish I could give you that direction. Right now, I got to be extremely cautious on the sell side. This looks like a very bullish channel, very bullish flag. The other day I was noticing one in WDC, and I was like, you know what? This stock is so high, but it's a perfect flag. So do I believe that my thought of it being overextended, because I remember the stock at like $13 a share, and now it's trading at $80 a share. Am I going to let my beliefs that this is extended, or am I going to let the technical setup, be a heavier influence on my decision? Well, take a look at the flag, and even though I thought maybe it was a little extended, the technical setup here showed a tremendous pop out of a flag that you normally see in this type of environment. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you think the market's extended or what you think is right or wrong. The fact is, technicals and algorithms and computerized trading and people making money want to continue to make money, and they're going to continue to take these setups. If this is just the status quo right now, you have an opportunity. You have some signals. Maybe you get a nice 60-minute flag like this. Boom, right out of it. So we got to continue to follow those flags. I mean, you have to. I think guessing on this the top here is going to be even harder. So I'm kind of, even though I was bearish over the last couple days, I'm swinging back into kind of a neutral position and maybe even slightly bullish just based off of this flag that's forming on the SPX and the possibility of this push higher. And this actually looks like a good shot to push higher, a very good shot, because markets tend to push higher out of a flag like this and then fail. So, that's what I'm going to be calling for it. We're going to look for a little move higher, kind of, get people on board again. Wow, this is moving higher. Then maybe we'll watch to see if we kind of top out, get a little divergence, and then maybe we kind of roll over there. Because it seems like we're in that setup, but it's too easy just to call a drop here. So look for a little pop, maybe a possible rollover at one point next week. All right, we'll talk about that, the markets. Now let's talk about some of the trades. And then we'll get into the watch list and the kick-ass trade of the week, which I think you're going to like. The other great trade this week, I think, a lot of people got into, was Tractor Supply Company. And I'm saying this was a great trade, even though I was in it early. I say it was a great trade because I mapped this one out. I mapped it out. This is the exact thing we put out on the site. And we discussed it. We might want to get a little early on this. I'm not sure we'll hit the buy zone. If we do get down to that, it looks like the best bet trade. So I knew if we got down to the shaded green area, it's probably going to be the best trading setups I've seen in a long time. But we were showing some good strength, so I got in there a little. But you know what? They came out, they warned. They came out and they kind of guided a little lower. So a Tractor Supply Company gets gaps down right into our zone. At that point, a lot of people just stepped up. They had faith in the X marks the spot type of thing. They took the trade. I added to my position, and the next thing you know, it was off to the races. Now this might not look like but basically you got to move down here into that 5740 area, and then right now we're about 6040. So almost about 3-point move to the upside. Our target on this move was 60.50. So it's almost about 15 cents away from the target. So the truth is, fantastic setup. I don't like, when you get a downward guidance, but if it comes down into a great level, you can see the technicals work out more than the overhanging news on this. So this is should probably hit its target early next week if we're expecting the market to get a little further push. And even though it has that bad news out there, I'll probably end up getting a small profit on it. I'm not going to make the profit that people got in down here, because I just kind of cost averaged in and got my price down a little. I would consider taking this off at the target, just because there was a little bad news out there in that way. But there's more setups coming up. So there's a great setup there, and very happy to see that trigger. We're all over that. I saw those, and congratulations out there if you did take it. I know got a lot of good feedback on that trade. Here's Verizon, another HPS setup. And again, you were looking for a retracement. I actually took it off today. I was very happy with it. It's a slow mover. I do expect it to get up to 50-50, which was the target. Got up to about 50-40 or 50-46. The first target was 50-50. Second target is going to be that retracement of that trend line. It's Verizon. It's going to continue to move higher. Just have to get in the opportunities. We'll trade it again when it sets up properly. But a great flag breakout. Nice 2-day run. Nice trade overall. All right. The Budweiser short. We took that. We showed you that one. The PSX. Still kind of looks good. This was also one of my best bets of the week, but we never got down to the level I wanted to get to it. It got down a little bit further. We took the trade, and it played out. It's actually pushed a little higher. It started getting overbought on the hourly. Took profits in it today, even though the channel still looks quite good. It's just about once you get addicted to taking profits, sometimes you take them a little faster. The market was kind of shaky the last couple of days, so I was just locking in some profits. This continues to look pretty good to the upside as the daily is just setting up now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this push right back up to 82.50. And, the VLO, which is another one, an HPS setup for this week, you could see that. Perfect X marks the spot. X marks the spot trade. Perfect textbook. One of the best bets. One of my playbook best setups. I love the X marks the spot trade. Works so well. We've seen it popping up here. Great setup. I know a couple of members mentioned it today to me. Anada, if you're out there, you closed on the highs. Hopefully you're still holding it. So it looks like you're in the top part of this little minor trend here. And we're going to pop through that. Looks pretty strong. Again, we haven't gotten a rotation in this. We haven't gotten a bounce in this. The bounce is starting. That 20-period moving average is a good target. I think it looks pretty good. So these were setting up. I was saying, just kind of have patience on this. It did come down to that trend line retracement. Today it was the day. The PSX also. The refiners looking pretty good. Marathon Petroleum also kind of moved higher. That's another interesting one. Well, anyway, that continues on to what we like to do here at Day Trading Radio. Is continue to do what we're doing and settle for nothing less than the best setups, and that's the truth. FSLR, I did take it off today. I did, it did pull back here. I took it off. I took it off for a loss today, and the reason was I'm driving home last night. Fast little story. I'm listening to Bloomberg. A guy on there come on here talking about solar. The guy was an expert in his field. I could just tell it. I was listening to the whole interview. He knew the money aspect of solar, First Solar, and some of the older solar stocks, and how they're being undercut and stuff. And it just, what? And he went to a trade show where there was a financing trade show, and they said that the show was basically empty, and there wasn't a lot of financing going on. Technically, I like this. This guy listening to an interview, and that happens to a lot of us. It gets in your head, you second guess yourself, and you just you take it off. Technically, it looks fine. So I'm kind of like, I want to see how it plays out. I think it's a great X marks the spot type of trade, and it seems to be holding up pretty good. And I have a feeling this is going to actually hold up pretty good. For whatever reason, I took it off today. I want to do a little more research. I'm actually going to put a video out this week on solar and discuss it more.